Hey everybody, welcome back to another team analysis. I'm glad to finally get this one out to you. Sorry it's been a while since one of these. I just didn't want to get it out until I actually played some games with the team. And I think we got in 10 games with it on the channel, so pretty good. But anyways, this team analysis is just it's a pretty standard looking hard trick room team. Great thing about this team is it's really straightforward, so it's actually really easy to play with. The downside, of course, is that it's very predictable. But if you play with it quite a bit, you start to learn what people are going to do to stop it, because a predictable team has pretty predictable countermeasures for the most part. So you can learn to kind of play around that, which is really nice once you get more practice with it. But definitely, if you're ever interested in Trick Room or you're struggling with Trick Room, I highly recommend just playing with a hard Trick Room team like this, because then you can really learn what things Trick Room does not like. And then you can kind of adjust your team to deal with Trick Room better, or you might just fall in love with Trick Room and use it yourself. So, okay, let's get going. Okay, first Pokemon. This was the inspiration for running hard Trick Room. I had a viewer comment on a video about wanting to see Copperajah, I'm going to call it, be used on a Trick Room team. So, I already had a Copperajah in my box, and voila, I just went ahead and used it. So, this one is a Sheer Force set with Life Orb, and for those that don't know, Life Orb and Sheer Force have a cool interaction where when you use a move that gets the Sheer Force buff, you get the Life Orb buff as well, like damage up increase, but without the Life Orb recoil. So that's a really cool thing, and you can kind of hide the item, but usually it's pretty obvious. But it's really nice. Oh, my throat is drying out. Sorry about that, but anyways, and so that's what I went with the Life Orb there. And then EV spread is really straightforward. Max attack, do as much damage as possible. I only did 12 HP EVs and then split the rest of the EVs into defense and special defense, because its HP stat is so big compared to its defenses, like defense and special defense, that it's actually much better to just invest in its defenses to get more maximum amount of bulk. Because when you're the way the EVs work, it's a thing of multiplication, not addition. So the lower, raising the much lower stats is always better, especially when the HP is that much higher than the defense is. So you want to raise those. So that's just why I did that. Brave Nature, min speed, because I want it to be as slow as possible, because it is a very slow Pokemon. So we're just gonna go with that, and that takes advantage of Trick Room the best that way. The downside I found to Sheer Force Copperajah is it doesn't have a ton of great physical moves to take advantage of Sheer Force. Fortunately, it has Iron Head, which is its main stab, which is pretty strong with it. And then Play Rough is actually pretty powerful with the Sheer Force boost. And then I rounded it out with High Horsepower for ground coverage. And if I ever did Dynamax this, I would be able to get either defense raised that way, or prevent burns by setting up Misty Terrain. But so that was pretty neat. The downside to Dynamaxing is you don't get Sheer Force boost at all. So you do get the Life Orb boost, of course, and the Life Orb recoil, but getting the defense boost is actually a pretty nice trade-off. So that's Copperajah. And then now we need some Trick Room setters, and I started off with Cofagrigus, which actually I tried Dusclops first, but I just didn't like how passive it could be sometimes. So I opted for Cofagrigus because it's a very bulky ghost type that isn't too worried about something like Duraludon getting around the follow me, barring a Dragon Tail Duraludon. But I went with it also because it got access to Body Press and a high defense stat. So between Shadow Ball and Body Press, that's perfect coverage in the sense that there's nothing that resists both those types. So you always are hitting something neutral or super effectively, and that's it, which is amazing. So we go with that. So that allowed Cofagrigus to be able to do chip damage whenever it needed to, which Dusclops was not great at, because its really only damaging move is Nightshade or Bulldoze, because you'd run Bulldoze if you're running a Weakness Policy or Hyperior, but typically Nightshade is it, and I wasn't a big fan of that, especially when I came up against a normal type that I couldn't hit, or a dark type. So that was the great thing about Cofagrigus, but it also gets Will-O-Wisp, which is the main thing I really liked, is just to burn stuff, while Cofagrigus being 30, base 30 speed made it very slow. Not as slow as Dusclops, but if I remember right, that is. So yeah, because of that, obviously 0 speed, minus speed nature, and I just went all out in the special defense department because I figured I'd be will-o-wisping things anyways. But in hindsight, going with more defense is not a bad option just for the body press damage, so that could be really cool. Join max defense instead and just go ahead and not be especially bulky. But that was the reasoning for that. And then Mummy is a pretty cool ability as well at times, so I like that. Yeah, so I was really impressed with Cofagrigus. The item I wasn't sure. I know Colbur and Kasib are pretty common, but I just went with Citrus. Citrus is kind of my go-to if I have it available. The extra HP is nice, and it did come in clutch one time, having that Citrus Berry. Okay, so if you're running Hard Trick Room, you've got to run Hatterene. Hatterene is like the premier Trick Room Pokemon in this format, because not only it's really slow, and specifically it's like 1 point slower than a lot of common Trick Room Pokemon, but it's got a high special attack stat, which I think is awesome. And on top of that, it even gets the amazing ability Magic Bounce, so like Taunt, Roar, Whirlwind, those aren't going to stop Trick Room. And then it's a fairy type, so Dragon Tail's not going to get it. I think you have to like have Circle Throw, but then again, you have Follow Me support with it usually, so Hatterene's an incredible Trick Room setter. I opted for Babiri Berry because the other item I would use on Hatterene that I really like is Life Orb, but that was already taken, so I went Babiri Berry because that was another option against, like, if I really wanted to lead Hatterene into Duraludon, I could still take a hit and get a Trick Room, which is really great. And then of course Min Speed, Quiet Nature, it'll reduce speed, but then just maxed out its HP and special attack. Like, Hatterene's job is to get Trick Room up, do off as much damage as possible, and then it's also a good Dynamax Pokemon at times. And I'm really excited for when Gmax ever becomes legal, because I think coupled with Indeedee, you know, I would prefer to Dynamax Hatterene and keep the Psychic Train up. The nice thing about Gmax is its Gmax move is its Fairy type move, and it confuses both opponents, so you keep your Psychic Train for if you want to fire off like a Psychic move later, but you confuse the opponents, which is kind of annoying. But so I think that's something I really want to try when it comes out. But so yeah, Hatterene, really good Pokemon. I kind of wish I got Moonblast, but Dazzling Gleam is actually pretty powerful, and I always underestimate how powerful Hatterene can be, especially if I have like Helping Hand on Indeedee, which we'll see that in a minute. So yeah, Hatterene, I really like the Pokemon, and I'd love to keep using it some more. But yeah, if you're gonna run Trick Room, run Hatterene. It's good Pokemon to have immediate offensive presence when Trick Room goes up. Okay, and next is probably the core, not the core, but the glue of the team is Indeedee, and this, you know, creates the infamous Indeedee hat combo, in which you can lead them, and you have the Follow Me Trick Room setup, which is really hard to stop because Indeedee gets Psychic Surge, which obviously blocks things like Fake Out, and then you can't taunt the Hatterene, so it just creates a lot of cool options. So this Indeedee, I opted for a very, very bulky set with the Psychic Seed, so I just went max defense and not min speed because I didn't feel like it was necessary for what it was doing. But yeah, so I went max defense and then to get the Psychic Seed boost, so it was just really bulky. It could sit on the field a lot, so it could continually Follow Me or Heal Pulse, Helping Hand, you know, all these kind of things. Like, it's really great. And sometimes I found out there's a total chance that I just, like, if I Heal Pulse my Hatterene, I can heal Indeedee back up because it just bounces back. So, but no, the Follow Me is really crucial because, so another option you can run with Indeedee is like a modest or quiet max special attack one with a Focus Sash, so that way it's like you can guarantee get 2 hits off to get Trick Room up, or take 2 hits to get Trick Room up, but then that way you're also like doing damage after Trick Room. But I found that keeping Indeedee around was really nice because there's times where I'd preserve it or switch it out, in which it would be really clutch later for maybe getting off another Trick Room or protecting my slower Pokemon when Trick Room expires to like kind of close the game out that way. So having Indeedee just be really bulky and stick around and be able to preserve it, I found to be really nice. So, but both options are totally viable. It just depends on what you want to do. And Indeedee's got a couple other good move options, so, but these are the ones I opted for. I was trying Trick Out for a while, but Helping Hand I think is just more useful, especially when you pair like Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam from Indeedee or Helping Hand Eruption from Torkoal. Really powerful. So, okay, so The next Pokemon I went with is Conkeldurr. I kind of found I really do like Conkeldurr in this format, especially in Assault Vest set. That just really helps add to its already lower special defense, but its overall bulk, though, with the Assault Vest, pretty solid. So this set was not min speed. Conkeldurr was kind of my Pokemon that was best to use like outside of Trick Room, so it could be good later game, or some scenarios I could lead it. I also found it to be one of my better Dynamax Pokemons. A couple times, like just getting off a couple Max Knuckles, and now the thing had like these powerful Mach Punches, or just a bulky Pokemon that was doing a lot more damage at that point with good Ice Electric coverage with the Ice Punch and Thunder Punch. So that I found to be really cool. As for the ability, Iron Fist would make sense because obviously it has all punching moves, but I'm just a huge fan of Guts, even if I don't run Flame Orb, which is another good option on Conkeldurr, especially because that allows you to run Protect. But I still opt for Guts because Will-O-Wisp is running around a lot, and when they don't see the Flame Orb, they might still try and burn it because they think, oh, maybe it's Iron Fist, or they're like, oh, this is probably, yeah, that might be Iron Fist, but I'm not. And there's times where I wanted to get burned, and also like I can always like be cheeky and burn my own Conkeldurr with my Cofagrigus. Never really did that, but it's an option to have. So, but yeah, Conkeldurr was really nice. I did really like Conkeldurr, and there was a couple times where I could even just like Dynamax it turn 1, like lead it and Dynamax it, and even without Trick Room or against some of the other Trick Room teams, Conkeldurr was really neat. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I don't quite remember what I did the 84 special defense for. There was a specific thing. It might have been like surviving a Charizard attack or taking a Charizard hit really well back when I had Rock Slide on it, but I ended up switching to Thunder Punch, which is just as helpful. But yeah, it was a pretty generic spread I found, and then I just used it because I liked it. But yeah, so Conkeldurr, good Pokemon. Try it out, and it's actually it's a good Pokemon on non-Trick Room teams as well, so I'd highly consider trying it. Okay, so last Pokemon, but certainly not least, is the powerhouse hitter of the team, which is Torkoal. And we saw Torkoal in the last team we used, or the second half of the last team we used. Really good Pokemon to just bring in, and then you just press the eruption button, and it can blow holes through teams if you get to do it right. So ideally, you set up Trick Room, and then you get a free switch into Torkoal, and now either on like have Hatterene and Torkoal in doing a bunch of damage, or have Indeedee Torkoal in helping hand the eruption. Really cool Pokemon. But the downside to Torkoal is you need Trick Room. Its Heat Waves are pretty strong, but it's not the bulkiest Pokemon, especially on the special side. So that's a downside to it. But if you can find a way to get it in for free with some Trick Room turns, it's a nice Pokemon. Sometimes an okay Dynamax option, but I tend to just want to press Eruption. So again, straightforward, min speed, max special attack. This thing is just meant to hit hard, and just blow holes for the team, or just clean up the last few turns at Trick Room. And then I opted for the Charcoal because I'm mostly pressing my fire moves. Solar Beam is more just coverage option, which did come in handy sometimes, specifically against Gastrodon. Yeah, other options I've seen are like Choice Specs or Assault Vest, but we already had the Assault Vest on Conkeldurr, so Charcoal was just the most obvious option. So yeah, and that is the team. So some general leads. The nice thing about this team is it's really not hard to know what to lead. Typically, you're just like probably over at least 90 to 99% of the time, you're leading Indeedee plus a Trick Room setter, whether Cofagrigus or Hatterene. When it was Duraludon, I'd usually lead Cofagrigus, because even though Dragon Tail's a thing, it's not super common. In a best of 3, I would have I'd lead Cofagrigus, and then if I see Dragon Tail, then I'd go Hatterene, because I have the Berry at least. But one cool thing about leading Cofagrigus Indeedee is I can bring Hatterene in the back, which I actually didn't utilize this well enough, and I wish I had. Because like having both your Trick Room setters can be really great if you really need that second Trick Room up in the late game, especially if you're playing like a bulkier team. So And that's something I would probably do better if I were to use a team like this again, which I may be practicing with it. But so yeah, but like honestly, 90, probably 99% of the time, you're leading Indeedee plus Trick Room Setter. Like, there's not much else. Even against, like, when you come up, you saw me do it, when you come up against Chandelure, it's most likely gonna have Imprison and Focus Sash. So you lead Indeedee hat and you just double the Chandelure. Like, don't even worry about what else is going on. Just double the Chandelure, knock it out, and then hopefully you can go follow me in Trick Room next turn. So that's probably the way I deal with that. But the only time I wouldn't lead Indeedee hat or Cofagrigus Indeedee is, say I'm up against a sand team and they're probably just gonna lead like sand and double rock slide. At that point, I would consider leading like Conkeldurr plus a Trick Room Setter, so Cofagrigus Indeedee plus Conkeldurr, because now Conkeldurr is putting immense pressure on those Pokemon, and so they have to decide: do I just go for double rock slide to stop Trick Room, or do I let this guy just like freely maybe Dynamax Conkeldurr and just blow up one of his Pokemon? So they have to like consider those options. Or yeah, that's kind of the main thing I would do. I don't think I led really anything else without any Trick Room without Indeedee other than Conkeldurr. So, and then the final option, this one was used a couple times. I don't know if I did it on channel, but definitely in Showdown in practice. If I came up against another really slow team, like another really Trick Room team, I might just lead like Indeedee Torkoal. Or if the opportunity presents itself, just lead Indeedee Torkoal, and I can just like follow me Eruption if they can't like do anything about it. So it's at least just a lot of free damage, especially against opposing Trick Room teams. Like, you look at my Trick Room team, I don't have a ton of fire resist. I think Torkoal's my only one, and most other Trick Room teams are going to be about the same, unless they have, like, Rhyperior. But, yeah, Torkoal's actually a really cool lead with Indeedee against slower other Trick Room teams. So that's sometimes what I do there. But, yeah, like I said, otherwise, 99% of the time, you're leading Trick Room Indeedee. And like I said, it's very predictable, but once you use it enough, people's strategies become predictable based on their team. Like, if I see a sand team, they're typically they have to go like double rock slide, so I'm gonna lead Conkeldurr, Trick Room into that. So they have to make a decision. Or I will sometimes, let's see, like if I lead Indeedee hat against like Arcanine, I'm pretty sure it's just gonna press Snarl and then maybe something else not super threatening. Sometimes I've done it where I just switch Indeedee out, go into Conkeldurr and Trick Room. Like, yeah, like you can start to play around it, and then I have Preserve Indeedee in the back for later, which could be helpful if I keep my Conkeldurr healthy, which I'm probably just gonna Dynamax anyways. So once Conkeldurr Dynamax, it's hard to take down. So yeah, play with it. You'll start to figure out what people are doing, and then you can start to play around it. But like I said, very predictable team. So you're gonna have times where you just come up against someone and they just got you because they're like so prepared for like hard Trick Room in some weird ways. So yeah, that's just the nature of the beast, but really fun to use nonetheless. Okay, finally, I just wanted to discuss a few other options really quick that you could run. I don't think Copperajah is the best Pokemon on this team. I liked it, but I think Mudsdale or Rhyperior is definitely better because of you get that stab ground type, which is really nice. And I didn't like having 2 ground weeks. I don't mind Rhyperior being ground weak because it's just Rhyperior, but I might consider Mudsdale. The problem is Mudsdale appreciates the Assault Vest, so maybe like you'd have to with Mudsdale you might have to consider some item changes, like putting the Assault Vest on Mudsdale and putting Flame Orb on Conkeldurr. So a bunch of different options. But the one thing I also like about freeing up taking out Copperajah is I free up the Life Orb, so I could potentially put it on Hatterene if I really wanted that. So yeah, that's probably what I would do first and foremost, is just change Copperajah to Mudsdale and Rhyperior. If I were to ever actually seriously use Copperajah, it probably wouldn't be hard Trick Room, but more of like a semi Trick Room, or maybe a different kind of hard Trick Room, because yeah, it's a strong Pokemon, but I feel like it's a little lacking, just at least on this style of hard Trick Room. But Rhyperior or Mudsdale are definitely suited better for it. And then finally, you can try Dusclops over something like Cofagrigus. Dusclops is a good Pokemon. It's like I said, I think it can be a little passive when Nightshade is really the only form of damage. Or Pain Split kind of does damage, and but you know, that's inconsistent damage, but it's more of a healing move. So that's totally usable. The cool thing about something like Dusclops is it gets Bulldoze. I don't think Cofagrigus gets it, but it gets Bulldoze. So if you do end up running Rhyperior, you have the Bulldoze option, so you can hit your Rhyperior's weakness policy, and you don't care about Follow Me also. So that's one cool thing about it. But otherwise, either of them work, and I would highly recommend trying out both Cofagrigus and Dusclops. Lonsdale, Rhyperior, like I said, both also good options to try over Copperajah. But if you really want to use Copperajah, use it, because hey, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. But those are just my like finds and kind of things I would try different. So, okay, guys, that'll be it. Here is the team ID for the team as I used it. So it does have the Copperajah, so you guys can still try it out if you like. But yeah, use it, try it out. Like I said, if you're struggling with Trick Room, the best thing to do is just play games with a heart like Trick Room like this, and you start to learn like how people deal with Trick Room. Like, it's really helpful, because Trick Room is one of those things that's really, it's hard to use, and it can be hard to play against if you're like when you're learning. So yeah, try it out, guys, and thanks for watching. I highly appreciate it, and we'll try and get some more battles out to you with a new team that I am going to feature. It's gonna be a rental team, but I'll probably still do an analysis on it. But yeah, okay, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Let me know any other teams or Pokemon you might want to see used. So yeah, and we will catch you in the next battle. All right, guys, take it easy. Later.